incredible time of scientific and mathematical development in the Muslim world. Alhaitham ibn Alhaitham, also known as Alhaitham, was a prominent Arab mathematician, physicist, and astronomer who lived during the Islamic Golden Age. He was born around 965 in Basra, Iraq, and is considered one of the greatest scientists of all time. He became pretty famous with his knowledge in math and physics, and actually ended up claiming that he could control the dangerous flooding of the Nile River. That sounded pretty good to the Caliph of the time, who invited him to Cairo to give it a shot. When Ibn al-Haytham arrived, though, he quickly figured out he actually couldn't do what he claimed he could, and was in way over his head. Unfortunately for him, the Caliph al-Hakim, who at that time was Abu Ali, was particularly a controversial figure who might have been crazy, and he was definitely not happy that al-Haytham didn't do what he promised. So Ibn al-Haytham did what anybody would do. He faked his insanity. He pretended to be insane and got locked up in the house arrest for the next 10 years. Actually, not a house arrest, it's more like a jail, because it was very dark in the room and there was only one source of light. And that source of light, in those 10 years that Ibn al-Haytham made some incredible discoveries and advances in science. See, the Greek had this idea about the way vision worked. Which was basically that we saw through the laser beams of light that shot out of eyes and let it on the objects we were seeing. And this was pretty much the standard understanding until the 10th century. However, Ibn al-Haytham had been playing around with an invention called pinhole camera, which had been created by an ancient Chinese inventors, but was only really further explained and developed by Ibn al-Haytham himself. He performed experiments on how glass lenses refracted light and magnified images, leading to an understanding of optics that later was used to invent the modern camera, as well as developing a completely new theory of how we are able to see. He managed to accurately describe the anatomy of the eye for the very first time, and then drew a number of different theories and scholars to meticulously explain how instead of shooting out laser beams, the eye actually constantly receives light that's radiated from the objects around it. This book, Kitab al-Manazir, was the foundational text in the field of optics for the next 600 years. It is still used today, and it was so influential they named a crater on the moon Alhaitham, the Latin for Al-Hassan, in honor of the role Ibn al-Haytham played in developing the telescope. He also happened to simultaneously lay the foundations for modern science. His reliance on controlled, repeatable experiments and logical process to explain his theories, which he refers to i'tibar, was first of its kind. Well, i'tibar now is called scientific method. So this i'tibar was later obsessed over by Roger Bacon and heavily influenced the work of Leonardo da Vinci and Johannes Kepler, leading many people to actually call Al-Hassan the actual father of scientific method, not Francis. So the next time you're in over your head, don't worry too much. Maybe you'll end up changing the world, like Al-Hassan ibn al-Haytham.